How's it going, y'all? TitansFan920. Today we're back with some more MTGA standard action. This time, one of my favorite kind of videos to do every year. New standards, always a lot of fun. So today we have 10 different Ikoria Layer Behemoth standard decks. What I've got here is just some new takes on different things that may have already been around, or some just brand new ideas. And that's what I try to do, is kind of keep it more brand new. I'm very well when the meta, new cards come out. The old decks that were around are probably going to be the best ones to start off with, but I do want to just kind of increase that brewing space a little bit, try something new here, and just really throw some things out that people may have not thought of, or maybe things people have thought of, they couldn't get that idea quite together. Maybe I can help you get there. So I put a lot of work in these decks, a lot of work editing these kind of videos. I'm not super great at that, so if you do like it, support it, please let me know, because it's a lot of work, but I do really, really enjoy this. So thank you all for watching. Thanks for the support. Let's get into it with our 10 decks for Ikoria Standard. Let's go. So the first deck of the day here is one I'm really excited about. This is Izzet Spells, Izzet Tempo. Basically, when I saw Sprite Dragon, I kind of fell in love with that card, wanted to brew around it, and this is kind of what I came into overall. So when I first saw it, I think a lot of people kind of saw this as a blue-red flash deck or a tempo deck kind of thing. I think this is a deck that you want to be playing a lot of spells really fast, kind of like a Phoenix deck would have back in the day, and just really be able to maximize the amount of counters you can put on Sprite Dragon. So where people started out putting like Ionizes and kind of counterspell heavy things in there, I really think we'll be more aggressive than that and be drawing a lot of cards here. So this is the list I came up with here. In the 1-drop slot, we have a playset of Often Shock, nothing new there. We're playing 2 of Blitz of the Thunder Raptor for a removal spell here. Been able to really just maximize our graveyard and get that filled up pretty quickly. The spells can really make this a 2 damage kill anything spell, which is kind of cool. So I really like that there. Our old friend Cathartic Reunion and Thrill of Possibility both coming back. Just a way to kind of discard some cards and draw some extra ones there. And you'll notice here with Riel we have some a little bit more synergy there. But basically we're trying to get down that turn 2 Improbable Alliance or a Sprite Dragon. So when we get that Sprite Dragon out, we're just constantly getting value off of every little thing we do here. Still playing some very well-known, Brazen Bar, things like that. Really good spells already. Ironcrag Pyromancer from last time and Throne of Eldraine was a card that I really liked a lot. And it's saw some play here or there, but never really been anything too good. But I think this is the kind of show where this could really shine, where we should be constantly drawing cards every turn, being able to hit something for 3 every turn, just start taking across that battlefield, pinging everything. And one card that I know everybody here is really excited about is Riel the Everwise. I'll be honest, I wasn't super impressed by this card when I first saw it, and it's not really my thing. But as I started thinking about this deck and how I want to build it, Riel kind of seemed like a natural fit in here. Especially with Cathartic Reunion. If you have a Riel out, you're discarding the 2 cards to draw 3 cards. But since you discarded 2 cards, you'd also draw 2 cards with Riel. So not only are you buffing her power, but you're also drawing 5 cards for 2 mana, which is kind of insane. You'll notice there's 2 of Vardruk here. Vadruk, Apex of Thunder. We're not casting this, we don't have white mana, we're not a Jeskai deck, we're Izzet. But you still mutate this for 4 mana. Mutate this on a creature. Even we're making plenty of little 1/1s with Improbable Alliance here. We have a Sprite Dragon, Brazen Bar, something we wouldn't mind to change up here. But basically, mutate on something there, be able to get one of a Royal Silence back that we're playing to 2 up in the deck, something like that, really strong. Lastly, at the very top of the curve here, 2 Crackling Drake. I think a lot of people forgot this card was even in Standard because it's been so long. But this is another deck that kind of just maximizes that power like we've seen before in the Phoenix decks and can really get out of hand. So, as with all these decks, who's going to know if they're actually good enough or not? But we're going to take them in, once again, take them into battle, see how they go. So, Izzet Spells, very excited for this one. Hope you all enjoyed that one. Let's move to deck number 2. So, for deck number 2 here, we have some Gruulasaurs. Anyone who's watched any of my videos, you all know how much of a Gruul fanatic I am. That's been my baby, basically, since day 1. Well, I'm trying something a little bit different here. I honestly couldn't tell you if this is going to be good or not. We're playing a lot of new cards in it, and I think it's actually got more potential than one might think. This is Gruulasaurs. So we have the Pelt Collectors on 1 because everything in this deck is going to grow it. On the 2-drop slot here, we have Marauding Raptor, which I'm very aware that doesn't work with Pelt Collector if you play a Pelt Collector afterwards, but that's the only card in the deck that doesn't work for this, so I think that's okay to take that risk. When we had the Dinosaurs in Standard last time, Marauding Raptor was actually insane for me. If you remember some of my earlier videos, I was doing really well with Gruulasaurs. Marauding Raptor making everything a little bit cheaper here. So we play some other dinosaurs in this list, so we have a way to pump it as well. We're playing the Ceratop, we're playing Cloud Piercer, we're playing 2 of Godzilla to see if that even works. Just to kind of see how it goes. We're still playing good well-known Gruul cards like Spellbreaker, like Bonecrusher Giant, like Questing Beast, Amber Cleave, all that kind of stuff. But let's talk dinosaurs here because that's the new stuff that's kind of spicy. We're playing a 4 of Cloud Piercer here. I think this card is criminally underrated. especially because in this deck we should be able to mutate it pretty consistently. This says for 3 and a red, you can mutate it. Whenever this creature mutates, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Gruul usually doesn't have a lot of card draw in it there, so being able to do this is pretty nice. And the fact that if we go Marauding Raptor, we can go straight into mutating it on turn 3 because it costs a turn less. A 3-mana 5/4 that lets you loot, not too bad. So we got the stuff there. We still have Ceratops, which is a dinosaur that works with this deck. Another thing I want to try out in this list before, as I said, there's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Not quite sure how this card is, but the 7/7 essentially, removal-wise, that's pretty damn strong. And against a lot of these decks, everybody's playing like Deafening Clarion against the aggro decks. You are not Clarion in this thing at all. So I think we could have some potential here. 2 of Luca, 2 of Vivian. Wanted to play a 2 of both these Planeswalkers just to kind of test them out. Luca's being able to put this down, -2, and start finding a very quality creature. And that's the thing here. It's like we're not, a lot of times with the other Gruul list, you're playing some things like your Gallias and your Zerta, things that are okay, but you're kind of like not that excited to hit on one of these Planeswalkers. Here, if I'm hitting a Bone Crusher, if I'm hitting a Spellbreaker, if I'm hitting, Questing Beast, that's not too bad at all. So I really think this could really surprise some people and show its worth here. 2 of Vivian, same thing. Want to test this out. We have a lot of big creatures here that protect Vivian, so if we're just making a 3/3 with a keyword every turn, that's pretty good. And I really think just being able to ultimate it can just win you a game possibly, so that's exciting. Finally, at the top end of that, believe in the Cleave, baby. We got to play 3 Ember Cleaves. How could we not? We're in Gruul. So this is definitely a bigger Gruul list, but one that I think could really catch people off guard with its size here, and really just take some smaller aggressive decks to town. So Gruulasaurs and Ikoria. Hope it works out. We'll see. Let's go to deck number 3. So for deck number 3 here, we have Temur Adventures. When you look at this, a lot of this is going to be the same because you don't want to change up too much of this base here. But I think Temur Adventures may have got a few boosts in the arm here to be even better, which is kind of terrifying because the deck's already pretty fantastic. All your adventure creatures, your Edgewalking Keepers, that all stays. Nothing to talk about there. But a couple things I want to try out in this deck. One of those was Primal Empathy. That's a 3-mana enchantment. Beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if you control a creature with the greatest power among other creatures on the battlefield. Otherwise, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. So with Primal Empathy, you're playing your Bone Crushers, you're playing your Lovestruck Beast. There's a decent chance you're going to have a higher power creature anyway. And if that's the case, you're drawing a card. This deck is all about generating and grinding out value, so I think it works really well there. Primal Empathy could be something worth watching here. We're also playing some Song of Creation. This card really jumped out to me when I saw it. And the 2 things I thought of was the Fires decks and here. But I really think this fits an Adventure Shell more than anything else. Adventures, you kind of have the discard clause on Song of Creation could scare a lot of people. But when you play these things for their their adventure cost, they go out on an adventure. So even when you discard your hand there, you still technically have those adventure cards. So a lot of inbred card advantage there. Being able to draw 2 cards a turn, then you have your things like Escape to the Wild. You can just kind of go crazy with card draw here and go nuts with your spells and get so much value, especially when you're copying them. Finally, 2 of Aluna, Apex of Wishes. Not 100% sure how this one's going to go, but I kind of want to test all these mutate creatures out here. This can be a 6/6 flying trample. Whenever this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land permanent. Put that card on the battlefield or into your hand. With things like Song of Creation to get to, with Primal Empathy to get some value down, or just a big 5/5 Lovestruck Beast, you got some pretty good hits off of this thing. So not quite sure, if this is going to be able to work or not, but we're going to try it out. As you see, we got the new lands in here now, so we have some new lands to try out here and see how it goes, just to help that mana base smooth up a little bit. So I don't know if this is going to be good or not, but we'll hope so. Let's go. Alright, here at number 4 is a deck that I am extremely excited about, and I think a lot of people will probably hate it. But this is Simic Flash. Everybody loves playing against Simic Flash. Flash got some weapons, and you'll see that because I made a Simic Flash deck and a Mono Blue Flash deck, which will be up a little bit later. 1-drops here, we got Spectral Sailor, nothing new there. In the 2-drop slot, we have our Playset of Brineborn Cutthroat, Playset of Growth Spiral, 2 Quench, but we have 4 of Cunning Nightbonder. This is blue-black hybrid, and here so it's double blue for a Flash, 2/2. Spells of Flash you control cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. So if your mana is able to hit this into the Nightpack Ambusher on turn 3, you have an uncountable Nightpack Ambusher on turn 3, which is kind of disgusting. Instead of Sinister Sabotage now, we moved on to Neutralize. It's still a 3-mana counter spell, but we can pay 2 to cycle it because there's some matchups where you just don't really want that counter spell anymore. So Neutralize made up a cycle, gives that a little bit of versatility. Another great card this thing got is 4 of Sea Dasher Octopus. 1 double blue for a 2/2 with Flash. When this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. But the important thing in here, you can mutate this for 2, 1 in a blue. So it's very possible, end of turn on turn 1, you flash in Spectral Sailor. Turn 2, you just go ahead and mutate right away, so you have a 2/2 Spectral Sailor that is essentially doing Curious Obsession things and drawing you cards every turn. When that kind of gets out of control, this deck gets the card advantage it didn't have before. And that was always kind of my thing with Simic Flash. I love Simic Flash, but sometimes you kind of just grind out if you just draw your weak little counter spells, you draw your quenches late game. This kind of just makes you keep being able to fill that hand up, get a lot of value. 2 of Frill Mystic here. Frill Mystic's still great, but the mana requirement is still as sketchy as it's always been, so we still just playing 2 of those. 4 Night Pack Ambusher, as always, fantastic card. And finally, at the very top end here, the 5-drop slot, 2 of Voracious Great Shark. This can be a 4-mana thing with the Cunning Nightbonder, but a 5/4 flash when it enters the battlefield, target counter artifact or creature spell. Also, that 5/4 body is bigger than anything Simic Flash had before. So now Simic Flash got more card draw that it didn't have before. It has some uncounterability now that it didn't have before. And then you have a bigger body that still counters a creature. Simic Flash might be here to play this meta, folks. So if you're not a fan of that archetype, I'm sorry, but we'll definitely be trying it out. Let's go look at deck number 5. So the next deck we have here is Mardu Humans. Now this was Abzan Humans before, but eventually the more spoilers I saw, I kind of started thinking that Mardu went a little bit better with this. So this is a very aggressive deck that we're still topping off with Embercleave at, where it's a Hero of Precinct 1 deck, which again, as I stated in my preview video before, I think Hero is going to be pretty good in this meta. It seems like there's a lot of ways to make things happen here, but we got some really good human payoffs now. So 1-drop slot for a Fervent Champion. We love our Fervent Champion, and it's going to be a good card for us. Removal-wise here, we're getting to play 3 of Dire Tactics and 3 of Heartless Act. I'm splitting on those, but Dire Tactics has been able to pay 2 mana to exile a creature and not lose life because you probably have humans is pretty damn good. And then when you're playing things like Heartless Act, which is almost like a Doomblade, you just have some really, really cheap and efficient removal in the format that you wouldn't expect to have in a deck like this. Playing a playset of General Enforcer, just a 2 mana 2/3 that makes legendary humans you control have indestructible is really good. And when you have things like Tajik in the deck, giving Tajik indestructible while it makes all of your other humans not be able to take combat damage, you're going to have a really hard to kill deck all of a sudden. That really synergizes well. Another spicy one we have here is 3 of General Kudro of Draenith. Just buffing all your humans here, making those bigger, so all of your human tokens from Hero Precinct 1 also get buffed. Kind of nasty. We have Lava Brink Venturer here as a 3-drop. You get to choose odds or even and give it protection from those. So between all the indestructible, the protection of damage from Tajik, and then the Lava Brink here, you got a hard to kill deck. We have things like Snap-a-Decks that they can come back and bring some things back, or not bring some things back, but kill other things on the battlefield while making your creatures bigger. You have Integrity Intervention to be able to buff your creatures and get them out of removal range and spells able to kill them. And then we have Soar and Vengeful Bloodlord coming back. A card that I've always kind of wanted to see work in Standard, but it's just not really found its time to shine. But when you get all these creatures here, start swinging in with the buffs and everything and gaining life, good luck beating that. So this is one that kind of came on my radar a little bit late, but I really think this deck could really show off and surprise a lot of people. So this one looks like a blast to me. Hopefully it works out. Humans, let's go. So next up, I know I talked about Sharknado before, but we were playing some Bant Sharknado. Now this kind of plays like Bant Ramp of current Standard and everything, which is one of the best decks in Standard, so I feel like it's a pretty safe place to start. But this deck, we're trying to use Shark Typhoon, the enchantment. We have a 3 of those. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. So basically what we're trying to do with this deck is still player control gameplay and ramp up as fast as we can. We're playing in 4 of Growth Spiral to ramp, we're playing 4 of Paradise Druid, 3 Euro, and then 4 Migration Path, which is the better explosive vegetation. So that way if we draw it late game and don't need it anymore, we can cycle it to more value. We're still playing our Shadow of the Skies, or Elspeth Conquers Deaths. We're playing Nissa's, Teferi. It's just good cards in this deck. But a lot of these ways to make Shark Typhoon work really well. Especially with Nissa and Shark Typhoon. When you cycle another one that comes in the battlefield, you can just get a huge shark that way. We're playing the Elspeth Conquers Death and Nissa. And just imagine, like, you put down your Shark Typhoon, and next turn your top deck is an Elspeth Conquers Death. You just slap that down, exile one of the creatures, and by the way, you just get a casual 5/5 flyer. That's pretty good. It's going to be really hard for a lot of decks to work with. We still play the Shatters here because sometimes early game you still just want to be able to wipe the board, and like even if you take out your Paradise Druid with it, it's a casualty of war, no pun intended. But Bant Sharknado, I think this could be a real deck. I think Shark Typhoon may actually surprise somebody and not just be a meme. Is this better than just regular Bant mid-range or mid-ramp or whatever we're calling it? I don't know. But that's the whole point of these spoilers, to try new things out. So Bant Sharknado, Shark Typhoon, Migration Path, try some new cards out. We'll see if it works. Also, let's go look into the deck. So next up here, we have some Orzhov Lifedrain. My buddy Casey, Orzhov's one of his favorite color combinations, so I know he'll like this one. We'll start off. This is a cat oven deck, which makes me a really bad person, and I apologize. So if you've made it this far through the video, please don't leave just because I have a cat oven deck. But another deck that kind of utilizes the Heater of Precinct 1 to really go wide. But you'll notice we're playing a playset of Corpse Knight and a playset of Gruul Celebrant. Really trying to get all these death triggers kind of stacking up and going wild here. We have things like Footlight Fiend to be able to hit people when it gets sacked. And then you'll notice the main thing that I wanted to brew around here was the 4 of Bastion of Remembrance. When that card enters battlefield, you make a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So we have so many ways to start pinging people on death here. Just start putting together a big wide board. And if you'll notice on Bastion, that doesn't say non-token. So Hero Precinct 1, if those tokens die, you're pinging them, you're draining them, you're doing damage there. We're also playing 4 of Call of the Death Dweller. Return up to 2 target creature cards with converted mana cost 3 or less to your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a Death Touch counter on one and a Menace counter on the other. So, say with this, we get Hero Precinct 1 back, give it something like a Menace counter, so that way it's a little bit harder to block if you're attacking him in combat. We can do things like put a Death Touch counter on our Cauldron Familiar, a Footlight Fiend, so that way if especially Footlight Fiend's interesting, because if it dies, that 1 point of damage is Death Touch wise, so it still kills whatever it would ping there. So, a way to just kind of go wide here really quick, get a bunch of pings and damage on people. At the very top end, we have 2 of Luminous Broodmoth. Even though our ETB effects on this deck aren't anything to write home about, just being able to get your creatures back so all those pings can happen once again. Like, imagine you build this big board up, then you get Luminous Broodmoth out, you have your enchantments out here, your Corpse Knight or your Gruul Celebrants, they shatter the sky on you, you hit them for like 10, and then you still get all your creatures back, but now they're flying. Good luck beating that, my friends. So even though this is a cat oven deck, this is a pretty interesting take on it, I think, and one that I'm excited to play out. So Orzhov Lifedrain may be terrible, who knows, but we're going to try it out. Let's look at another. So here is a deck that I did not think would actually be a thing at all, but this is Mono Blue Flash. I was saying earlier about Simic Flash, Mono Blue got some toys, and I think it could actually be viable on its own. And when I started putting this deck together, I actually tried to make Mono Blue work back in Theros Standard, and I kept on being at a space where I was trying to have to find a few extra cards to throw in just to make the deck work, because it has some good options, but then you kind of ran out after a while. In this deck, I was trying to find what to cut, because making cuts on this deck was hard. So, same thing as before, you're playing your Spectral Sailor, your Brindborn Cutthroat, your Cunning Nightbonder, once again, clutch here. 4 of Quench now, so we're really just have a lot of protection against 3 Fairy. 4 of Mystical Dispute, but so we have 8 different spells that can counter 3 Fairy, even if we're on the draw, so that's great. 2 of Starlit Mantle, it's a thing that was in the old set, but it's actually a really good card, just being able to kind of do its best dive down impression for an extra mana, essentially. We're playing our Sea Dasher Octopus here, we're playing our Voracious Great Sharks and Neutralizes, and then finally 2 of Gadwick to be able to refill that hand and just go wild with all your spells again. I know a lot of people might be skeptical on this one, but I really think Mono Blue Flash could be a thing. When I was playing it back in like Theros and trying to test it out, I could always get people kind of close and then it'd kind of fizzle out and just not work. I think this has tools to be good. I could be wrong, but we're going to test it out. People are going to hate playing against it, and it's going to make my soul very, very happy. So, Mono Blue Flash, Ikoria Standard. We'll see if we can counter all these big beasts coming down. Alright, next up here we got Simic Ramp, our old friend here from the last early access event. I think this was probably the most loved video I've ever had. I think I had 13,000 views on this one when I made this last time. Simic Ramp was a blast to play, and it got some new fun cards here. The coolest thing about this, Parcel Beast, I think can actually be insane in this deck. This is a 4 mana 2/4 with 2 mana 2/4, but you can mutate it for 2, and that's the important part here. So this deck has a potential to go turn 1 Grazer, put a land down. Turn 2, you mutate that Arboreal Grazer to make it a 2/4. Then you pay that extra mana and tap it, and put another land on the battlefield. So turn 3, you've already got 5, possibly 6 lands ready to go. You can really just pop off of this and kind of go insane. We're still playing things like Growth Spiral, like Krasis at the top end. We're playing Euros and Migration Paths. Just the good Simic Ramp spells you'd expect. Creature-wise, we're playing 2 of Agent of Treachery and 2 of Enraged Forerunners. There may need to be some Finale in this deck that I don't have right now, but I think this will work out really well. We're playing Vivian here because I think you can get the Vivian down a little bit earlier than you could usually. So being able to just put down... Vivian's kind of nice here because you can put down creatures and not have to worry about them if they get removed. It's not like you're losing a land. because one weakness these kind of decks do have is, say if you do get down to turn 3 Nissa and make a land and then somebody kills it, well then you're just stuck with like 2 lands in the battlefield or something like that, and it's kind of sketchy. So I think Vivian could be pretty good here. So Simic Ramp, we're going to try to do big things again, have that same top end as before, but try to get there a little bit more efficiently and do some different things to get there. So we'll see if it's good or not. I like the look of this deck. I had to take out and see how it goes. One more deck to look at. Let's see what it is. Alright, and the final deck we have here is Jeskai Firewalkers. I kind of got this idea from Ross Merriam on Versus Live. I'd already kind of been brewing with it in my head, and then like the very first day of Versus Live series, they were playing a deck kind of similar to this one. So Ross is stealing my thunder here a little bit. But basically, this is a Jeskai Planeswalkers deck with Fires of Invention to really just be able to play 2 a turn if you're able to. But we have some sneaky tech in here. One of the ways you can win this deck is with Luca, the -2. We're only playing 2 of Enraged Forerunners in here as our only creatures. So we can take a Saheeli token we've made, we can take an Improbable Alliance token we've made, an Elspeth token we've made, a Sarkhan token we've made, exile that card with the -2 on Luca. That guarantees you to have your Enraged Forerunner come out and get haste. So if we have a bunch of different Saheeli Thopters out there, or if we've had Sarkhan turn everything into creatures, you can, let's just talk about the dream here. You play your fires and another thing on turn 4. Turn 5, you drop Sarkhan, you drop Luca, you minus on Luca to get the Enraged Forerunners, which is an automatic hit off of that. And then with Sarkhan making everything the creatures, you just swing in for a jillion damage. That's fun, right? That's fun. One thing to note, I didn't put the new Narset in here. I think the new Narset could possibly fit here, but I wanted the token making from Elspeth a little bit more there, so I went with that. But Jeskai Firewalkers, again, maybe this is too cute with the whole Enraged Forerunners plan, but it's something I just want to make it happen one time. So if we can make that happen, I'd be pretty happy. So that's my 10 decks for Ikoria, Lair Behemoth Standard. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have ideas of your own, please share them with me. I love seeing what you have. Down below, I'll have a link to all of my different links on Aether Hub, as well as maybe some few extra ones I've actually brewed up as well that didn't get featured in this video. Again, as I said, the early access event, April 15th, which is this coming Wednesday, we'll be playing that early access event and playing some of these lists. So if you want to see some of these decks in action against some other streamers, join us there. Twitch.tv/TitansFan920. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers now. We're getting kind of close to it, so let's get there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.